Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ba'd. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Ikhwani fillahi ta'ala, brothers and sisters in Islam. We continue with a hadith about al-iman, about faith, how to know our faith and how to also protect our faith. Extremely important. In Bukhari and Muslim, authentic hadith of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Listen to this hadith. He says, Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم, يأتي الشيطان أحدكم فيقول من خلق كذا من خلق كذا. Shaytan would come to one of you and he would ask you, he would put these questions in your mind. Who created this and who created that? So the ulama, they say, for example, the shaitan, he would put in your mind to ask yourself this question, to wonder, who created the heavens? Who created the earth? So far so good. These are valid questions and they are good questions for the believer because they reinforce your iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you do tafakkur, tadabbur, you reflect about the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, the answer is Allah. The believer is going to say, this was created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rabbul Alameen. And then he says, alayhi salatu wasalam, that shaytan, حَتَّى يَقُولَ مَنْ خَلَقَ رَبَّكَ, until shaytan will trick you into wondering and asking yourself, so who created your Lord? So this is a chain of questions, one leading to the next, leading to the next. So the beginning was good, but the agenda behind it, the purpose behind it is evil. عِيَاذًا بِاللَّهِ. As we say in Arabic, كَلِمَةُ حَقٍّ يُرَادُ بِهَا batil. So someone is asking, this is very bad strategy of shaitan, shayateen al-jinn, as well as shayateen al-ins. Munafiqeen use this trick a lot. They give you valid things. They say, I'm just wondering, I'm just asking. And you say, there's nothing wrong with that question. What's wrong with asking who created the heavens, who created the ocean? There's nothing wrong. These are good questions. But then, he wants to lead you somewhere. فَمَنْ خَلَقَ اللَّهِ فَمَنْ خَلَقَ رَبَّكَ. So who has created your Lord? He says, alayhi salatu wasalam, فَإِذَا بَلَغَهُ فَلْيَسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ وَلْيَنْتَهِي. Once it gets there, if shaitan takes you there, first of all, فَلْيَسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ. Make isti'adha. Isti'adha is when we ask protection. So we have isti'ana with the noon is when we ask the assistance, the help. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. And then we have isti'adha with ذال, which is asking for protection. فَلْيَسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ. Make isti'adha. Ask Allah Ta'ala for isti'adha, meaning ask Allah's protection, meaning against shaitan. When we say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, I ask Allah's protection against a shaitan. So that's step number one. Step number two, he says alayhi salatu wasalam, وَلْيَنْتَهِي. He should stop the reflection. Do not carry on with that reflection. So who created Allah? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. But who created Allah? But أعوذ بالله من الشيطان. No, stop right away. And also in the other narration, in the other hadith of Anas radiallahu anhu, he says that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لن يبرح الناس يتساءلون حتى يقولوا هذا الله خالق كل شيء فمن خلق الله. So Anas, he says, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that people will not cease asking this question. They will continue. Allah Ta'ala created everything. So who created Allah? And also in another narration, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he instructed us to say, وَلْيَقُلْ آمَنْتُ بِاللَّهِ وَرُسُلِهِ. I believe in Allah and His messengers. So we have three steps here. Step number one is what? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Step number two, stop it. يقف. Stop this trail of thought. And then number three, I believe in Allah and in the messengers. Because this third step is an actual muraghama. We are going against the will and the goal of shaitan. Shaitan, what he wants you to do obviously is to become kafir. Iyadha billah. So when I say amantu billahi wa rasulih, I'm telling shaitan that this is what? I'm going against you. I'm actually reaffirming my iman in Allah Ta'ala and the Messenger alayhi salatu wa salam, the messengers in the plural. Amantu billahi wa rasulih. So we have a few very important lessons in this hadith. Number one, وَلْيَنْتَهِي. عن الاسترسال معه. As we said, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he tells us وَلْيَنْتَهِي, should stop. Why should we stop this reflection? Because this is a useless thought. We're not going anywhere. We're just going to be lost in the clouds, in confusion. Because in reality, the answer to this question is pretty obvious, pretty simple. It's pretty simple. Well, the question itself is flawed. Who created Allah means who created the Creator. He is the creator of everything. Is خالق كل شيء, meaning he was not created. Because that's the end of the thought. That's where it stops. Who created this? Where does this come from? Where does it come from? Well, everything has to go back to one source. Absolute power, the absolute being, to whom this principle does not apply. Because this is a principle of what? Principle of cause to effect. Everything was caused by something. It comes from something. So you come from your parents and they come from their parents. It goes all the way up to Adam alayhi salam, and then Adam alayhi salam was created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this principle of thought, this principle of cause to effect, sababiyya al-khalq, makes sense. However, the principle itself is what? Created by someone, who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The one who created this principle is not submitted to this principle does not apply to him. He created it, right? So just like, time and space. We are controlled by time and we are controlled by space. We have past and we have future. Allah Ta'ala, He created time and space. Doesn't have control over him. Allah Ta'ala, the past and the present and the future for him is the same thing. وَإِنَّ يَوْمًا عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ كَأَلْفِ سَنَةٍ مِمَّا تعدون. So same thing here. All of these laws of the universe are laws of the creation, of al-makhluqeen, not laws of, they don't apply to the Khaliq. He is the one who created them, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the question itself is flawed. Now we know that the question itself does not make any sense. It's a contradiction. Who created? The one who created everything. He is the one who created everything. He was not created. Now, still, if someone wants to carry on with the thought, what happens? They will get lost. That's the only possible consequence. The more they will ask the same question and try to wonder. This applies to everyone. The most smartest person in the world, all the philosophers. Nobody can continue this question here without having even more confusion. Because think about it. What does Shaytan want to do to us? What is the goal of Shaytan?
Make us kafir.
Generally speaking. Make you kafir, like he said, but generally speaking, not everybody's going to become kafir. Shaitan has other consequences.
Make you disobey.
To mislead us, right? Al-dalal, to be in dalal. Dalal is we are misguided, we are lost. He doesn't care, Shaitan. He doesn't care which religion you pick after, which deen, but for Shaitan it's enough to cause a Muslim to be confused, to have shubuhat, to have doubt. That's enough for Shaitan. He did his job. Because Iman is yaqeen. ثُمَّ لَمْ يَرْتَابُوا إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ ثُمَّ لَمْ يَرْتَابُوا. So that's the goal of Shaitan. So just the fact that someone starts having confusion and doubts and they are losing their yaqeen, that's enough for Shaitan. For him, already he has achieved a lot. Now what's interesting here, the ulama, they say, وَلْيُبَادِرْ إِلَى قَطْعِهَا بِالْإِشْتِغَالِ بِغَيْرِهَا. How do we cut these wasawis of Shaitan? How do we cut them? Usually if there's a lot of wasawis, some people, they suffer from a lot of wasawis of Shaitan. Either they have a lot of doubts always about their deen, or they have, like we said last time in Surah Al-Hujurat, a lot of su'ul dhan, bad assumptions. They're always saying, why is that person looking at me like that? Maybe he wants to harm me. Why? I think that brother, he doesn't like me. I don't think he respects me as his brother in Islam. Why did that person say salam to me, but they said it in a very weird way today? So they always have these wasawis of Shaitan. It can even actually become almost an illness in someone's mind. One of the main reasons behind that is what? Is when there's emptiness in one's thoughts. Because And it's also a way to understand the solution, how to block all of these wasawis and how to get rid of most of them. We cannot get rid of all of them because it's just the nature of ibtila in this life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested us with our enemy, Shaytan. But one of the best practices is when our thought here is busy with beneficial things. Beneficial, because it's thinking, it's working on things that are good, beneficial, either for our akhirah or beneficial for our dunya. When there is faragh, when there's emptiness, when there are no other alternative, Shaytan, he loves this. That's why Prophet Muhammad he told us that Shaytan is going to be mostly with when someone is alone. And when there's two people, Shaytan is going to be abad, he's going to be a bit further, and so on. And the Shaytan is the furthest from the jama'ah, from the congregation, from the group. Why? When we are alone, what happens? When someone is alone, just alone, what happens? Most people usually, they start thinking, they start overthinking. They are not in real life anymore. They're just trying to. That's why al-fikru al-mufid, al-tafakkur al-mufid, that can be ilm, that can be knowledge. Studying the Quran, the tafsir, studying Hadith of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, studying fiqh, halal and haram. When someone's mind is, mashallah, is very rich with these very beneficial information, so he's working to reflect on the Quran, tadabbur. It's reflecting on the adillah, like the ulama, they think, he has in his mind, is thinking, that's what he read this morning in some books of fiqh. And there's 3 opinions about this hukm, this ruling. So what's the opinion that's the strongest, the rajih? And then, so he's busy. Someone can be busy with something beneficial from the dunya. He's thinking about his business, how to grow his business, how can he, make his relationship with his family better. So anything that's beneficial, anything that's mufid, مما ينفع الإنسان في دينه أو في dunya, anything beneficial for the deen or for the dunya. It can be, having projects, having things to do, action, being active in life, volunteer, having amal salih, good projects that are beneficial for the community. People like these, usually they are very busy. And those who are ignorant, they don't understand the point. They say, oh, poor him, he's very busy, he's overdoing it, but you don't get the point. He's actually winning because he's having peace here, alhamdulillah. He's busy with good things. Some people, they don't want to be busy, they don't want to carry any responsibilities in life. So what happens to them? They think they're doing the right approach. They say, I'd rather stay home, have my life. I want to be away from people. I want to enjoy life, my shahawat and everything. Well, they're opening big gates for Shaytan. By the way, I know this is controversial nowadays, but even many Muslims, they have embarked in this excessive use and reference to what they call nowadays mental illness. They have it everywhere, the media nowadays. If you believe the media, if you listen to the media nowadays, you're going to think everybody outside has what? Mental illness. Everything is called mental illness. Now, if us as Muslims, we embark in this, you see now some Muslims say, let's raise funds for mental illness. All they talk about is mental illness. I'm not denying that there's some people who have mental illness. That's just a fact, has been the fact for centuries. We have even fiqh, they talk about these cases and everything. But it can't be that so many people have something that's called, everything is mental illness. Because otherwise we are secularizing our way of looking at the world. We have an iman bil ghayb, we believe in the ghayb. So what are the interpretations we have? We cannot put aside the effects of al-kufr, of a shirk on someone's mind, someone's health, their heart. That's not called mental illness. That's called what? وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكَ. Allah Ta'ala says, the one who turns away from the dhikr of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, they will have a miserable life, full of suffering. Allah Ta'ala says, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. For one's heart to be sound and to be appeased, it is through the dhikr of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Like we said last night in the dars of Adam alayhi salam, story of Adam alayhi salam, we spoke about this, that Shaytan, he's al-waswas al-khannas, that's his job, waswas. He's waswas, Allah Ta'ala, he called him al-waswas. He's always there to annoy us as human beings. How do we protect from Shaytan? We said,
Bismillah.
Dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Khannas meaning the one who runs away when the dhikr of Allah ta'ala is made. He could not bear the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, remembrance of Allah azza wa jalla. He cannot take it. Adhan, recitation of the Quran, salat. Shaytan is away, stays away from these situations. Even if he comes to influence someone, it's a light influence. Maybe he comes to you in your salah to try to disturb your khushu'. Okay, but it's not to the point that he's gonna make your life miserable. So what happens here, if people they turn away from the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if people they watch all of these weird things, they read all of these weird things. People nowadays, they read books, about magic, about sihr, about shayateen, they watch movies about that, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Then obviously after, shaitan is going to be mu'ashish huna. He lives here. He lives inside someone. Iyadhu billah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's not called just, mental illness. Not everything is mental illness because again, we have an iman bil ghayb. We believe in the effect of the ulama. They say just the ma'siyah, just committing a sin. Even for a believer, if he commits a sin, they say this would have an effect on him. Wahshatun fil qalb. He would feel tight. He doesn't feel well today. He doesn't feel very comfortable. That's just how Allah Ta'ala created us subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now imagine someone who's mu'rid, completely away from dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَنْ يَعْشُ عَنْ ذِكْرِ الرَّحْمَنِ نُقَيِّضْ لَهُ شَيْطَانًا فَهُوَ لَهُ قَرِينٌ. The one who's mu'rid, doesn't make dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala will assign shaytan to him all the time with him. So this is, the solution. It's not just take people to hospitals and they're going to meet some professional who has no idea what's going on there, right? And it's just like giving people pills to try to calm them down and keep them under control, which is not really a solution. So, again, as we said, the importance of being busy with beneficial things, with al-amal salih, with good deeds. This is one of the best ways to, inshallah ta'ala, stay away from these wasawis of shaytan. Also the ulama, they say, in this hadith, فيه دليل على كراهة كثرة السؤال وتكلف ما لا يعنيه من الأسئلة. The ulama, they say also in this hadith again, what is in the hadith? Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is telling us that if shaitan tells you, so who created Allah? We stop. That's a wrong question. That's not the type of questions we should be asking ourselves. We say, I believe in Allah, He is Al-Khaliq, He is the creator, He was not created. That's it. Now, they say the ulama, this is just one other evidence, one other dalil. We have many other adillah that in Islam, not all questions are good. Questions are very important to learn our religion. When we are ignorant, we ask, إنما شفاء العي السؤال فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون. Asking is very important, but also asking the right questions is very important. Knowing what to distinguish, knowing how to distinguish between questions to be asked and questions not to be asked. That's why the ulama, they say, حسن السؤال نصف العلم. Having the art, knowing how to ask proper questions is actually half of knowledge. That's what it is, knowing how to ask. Again, one does not have to be very smart. All it takes is what? A bit of common sense and the right intentions. What are the right intentions? Right intentions should be when we ask questions, first of all, we are looking for the haqq, we are looking for the truth. That's why we are asking a question. And number two, we want to know the truth so that we can apply, practice our deen. And we know that there are limits that we have nothing to do with them. There are some things from the world of the ghaib, none of my business. Allah Ta'ala did not tell me to ask and to wonder about those things. So, example of some very beneficial question, some very valid question. If someone says, Assalamu alaikum, he goes to some shaykh, some alim, the Quran, Assalamu alaikum shaykh, can you tell me what did Allah Ta'ala say about the malaika in the Quran? Very beneficial, very good question. He wants to know the Aqeedah, the world of the unseen, malaika, angels, we can't see them, but he wants to know what is mentioned in the Quran about them. He wants to know. Nothing wrong with that question. Or someone asks a question that's practical because he wants to act. Because he wants to act. So he says, is this halal or is this haram? Is it better for me to do this action or the other action? Which one has more reward, more ajr? All of these are great questions to ask. Now, some questions are not to be asked. The ulama, they say, like, أسئلة لا ينبني عليها عمل. Someone asks, a question that there's no action that comes out of it. So if someone says, what if one day human beings are able to land on planet Mars? How should they do salat exactly? Do you know how should do, like, what about wudu? What about the qibla? How's it going to happen? Okay? So this is what? This is su'alun madhmoom. This is a bad question. Muslims should not ask these type of questions. Why? Because this is takalluf. You're really exaggerating. You're forcing yourself to ask questions that have no benefit in them whatsoever. Or as we said, questions in which there is, yes, it's part of the world of the unseen, but we don't know, we are ignorant, and really the question itself is weird, strange, like who would think about that? One has to be really empty here in their mind, they have nothing to do in life to be wondering such a question. Like once I saw a question, one of those websites online, they have fatawa banks, where people, they can message the Shaykh and ask. So once someone asked the Shaykh, said, "Yeah, Shaykh, I know that there's Malakul Maut, the angel of death. That angel of death exists. But really, I keep wondering, I just can't, comprehend this. Does it mean that every time there's an ant, namlatun, that dies, there's actually Malakul Maut, he comes and he takes like the soul of that ant? How does that happen, Ya Shaykh?" Really, I read the question like this, and obviously the answer of the Shaykh is, you should be really concerned about the moment when Malakul Maut will come to you to take your soul. Are you ready for that moment or not? That's the question really for us to be asked. Not to worry about the ant and the cockroaches, how they die, what's going to happen to them and everything. That's really a useless question. Takallufun fi as-su'al. Or sometimes some people, they ask at-ta'annut. They ask questions for ta'annut. What is ta'annut? Ta'annut is when someone wants to challenge. Now, one can be a kafir, he's trying to challenge Muslims with some questions. Now we understand he's a kafir, we're not talking to those people. But sometimes even some Muslimin, like he tries to challenge like a scholar, a alim of Islam. He's asking just to ask him some tricky question to see, does he have an answer to this? Now what's wrong with that? The intention. The intention, now you're not asking for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're not asking for the benefit of the ilm. Al-ilmu lil-amal. Ilm is for action, for something that's beneficial, for what's nafi'. Or some people also, they have, no intention whatsoever to be beneficial. But they ask questions, they just want to ask out of curiosity. They say, Assalamu alaikum akhi. Are you in charge of this masjid here? Okay, how much does it cost you here to cover the bills for electricity and everything? How much is it? Can you show me the bills? Can I see the bills? You see? And then you're like, maybe this brother, mashallah, what does he want? He wants to donate, he wants to take care of it, maybe he wants to ajr, he wants to cover the expenses. Once you show him, to give him the answer, okay, jazakallah khair, and he leaves. He just wanted to know. So he's wasting your time, he's wasting your energy, your resources, for what? Just to know. He has no intention of being, what? Beneficial. So Allah Ta'ala knows our intention, and then after Allah, we know our intentions, and we should be careful that if I don't have any intention of doing something good, I should not waste other people's time again with these type of questions. Now they say, وَأَمَّا السُّؤَالُ عَمَّا يَنْفَعُ وَيَكْشِفُ الْغَامِضِ. This we already mentioned it, the importance of questions. As we said, it doesn't mean that we should not ask questions. No, questions are very important in the deen, but there are some questions that are irrelevant. They have no importance whatsoever. Now, also, al-wasawis. Why does Shaytan put waswasa in the minds of the believers? Please listen to this. Why does Shaytan put waswasa, whispering, in the minds of the believers? Obviously, for some people, Shaytan is making waswasa to push them toward haram, kufr or sins or something. But sometimes, Shaytan, he knows that a believer will not listen to him. So now the waswasa has one final objective, which is what? Al-adiyya, to hurt you. Again, to annoy you. Remember, Shaytan, he is our enemy. And Allah Ta'ala protects the believers against the Shaytan. But that does not mean that there's no ibtila. There is a test in this life. It's just part of the test. So that's why Shaytan again might come to us in our salat to try to take away khushu' from us. Because he could not prevent you from making salat. You came, you might make salat. You're not one of those people that he can tell you, don't pray, don't do salat, it's not important. You're doing salat. So now he wants to disturb you in your Salat, like Imam Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, he mentioned this about Shaytan, that Shaytan has many goals. What does he want to do? Either he wants to go to commit kufr and shirk billah azza wa jal. If not, then he's going to move to the next one, which is al-bid'ah, the big innovations, bid'ah. So these are the most damageable effects of Shaytan, things related to the Aqeedah, things related to one's belief. These are worse than sins. And then he moves on to major sins and everything. And then he mentions the last stage, إِذَا عَجَزْ, if shayateen are not able to take your deen away from you, then they will just declare war on you. They will try to hurt you as much as possible. But they will hurt you in your dunya, not in your deen, because Allah Ta'ala has protected you bifadlihi subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, another point also that's very interesting here, the ulama, they say also, what about al-khawatir? What do we mean by al-khawatir? Al-khawatir is thoughts, the thoughts that we have. The ulama, they say, these bad thoughts, again, these, shubuhat and everything, there are two types of them. Some of them, they are عابر غير مستقر. It's temporary thought. Again, just to waswasa, some whisper from Shaytan. And like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, what should we do here?
Seek refuge with Allah.
We say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. And also, stop thinking. That's all. So we should not give them too much importance. They will go away. They will fade away very quickly, inshallah, if we follow this right approach. Now, if someone has khawatir, shubuhat mustaqirrah, someone, they have really some confusion, some doubts that are deep inside the roots. They went inside the heart. It's always he's thinking about these things, and really, it's disturbing him, and he's having to the point that he's doubting his deen. He wants to have answers. That's different. إذا كان مستقرا, now one is advised to go seek help, assistance, to go talk to one of the ulama, people of knowledge and everything, and say, these are the shubuhat I have. Can you help me, deconstruct these shubuhat? And still we have to mention that usually one gets to this second stage, which is more serious, only because what? They took the first stage lightly. Some people, they also, as we said before, some people, sometimes this is a weakness of someone. Some people, they think they are very smart. They are overconfident. Or maybe, yes, they are smart, they are very smart, but being smart is a ni'mah from Allah Ta'ala. We must what? Use it properly. Like imagine if someone is very fit physically, very strong physically, mashallah. Big, strong person. That's a ni'mah from Allah Ta'ala. But what if the person, they abuse of this ni'mah? They go outside in the street, they go to random people and say, do you want to fight me? I'm very strong. Do you want to fight me? So now he's what? He's misusing his ni'mah, he's abusing of it. If Allah Ta'ala gave you this ni'mah, keep it for when you need it. Don't just go and overuse it for no reason. Because yes, you're strong and fit, but one day somebody's going to hurt you really bad. You don't know how it's going to happen. Same thing here. If someone is very smart, alhamdulillah, it's a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which does not mean that we should be saying, it's okay, I can, as we said, some people, they have a lot of critical thinking. Okay, sure, let's look at that. Okay, some people, they say we must follow the sunnah. Okay, what if we must not follow the sunnah? Then what? Or some people, they expose themselves, shubuhat on the internet. And I always say this, and please remember this, I'm always going to repeat this. Nobody has time for you. Nobody is working full time for you to come respond to your shubuhat. So in the end, every one of us as a Muslim, we have the responsibility. We are the main person in charge of protecting our iman. Because some people, they have this in their mind. Let's go watch on YouTube. Like I told you last time, so people, they go, they watch, they find someone, there's a video that says, some guy says, we must not pray Salat al There's no Salat Tarawih in Islam, that this was just made up by Muslims. And he goes and he watches the video. He says, I know the video does not make any sense, but can someone help me please respond to all these shubuhat? So some people, they think, just go, watch anything on YouTube. You don't know who's talking, you don't know who this person. Pick all the shubuhat, And then if you need help, just go send it to some Shaykh and say, Shaykh, how do you respond to that? Well, guess what? Shaykh has a life. Shaykh, any Shaykh, even the nicest ones and the most helpful ones, they have families, they have a life, they have to make a living, and they also have their own priorities, even in terms of the deen. You know, this is the month of Ramadan, for example. Well, he has to make ibadah of Allah, he has to read a lot of Quran. And, you know, given the choice between him, the Shaykh, going to seek more knowledge for himself, read beneficial books, maybe read another tafsir of the ayat of the Quran, وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا, and given his time just to respond to people's shubuhat, because that's what people they expect. You know, there's a lot of people sometimes online, can you make a video to respond back to that person? Can you make a video to respond back to that person? What do you think? Like, we have nothing to do but making videos to respond back to people? It takes time, it takes resources to do all of this. You have to go and watch this, and you have to check the references and bring the counter delete and everything. Why in the end? Because someone, they allowed themselves to go listen to shubuhat when they have very little knowledge. They're not qualified to face these shubuhat. So again here, if my mindset is that I'm open to accept anything that's being told to me, I'll take it, I'll consume it, and then I'll see how I deal with it. Like this is exactly like someone who does listen to this. The analogy is exactly this. Someone who drinks poison, he says, I'm going to try this poison because let me just try it, how it tastes. I know they have, what? The cure for it. They say they have discovered it. Let me take this poison, and then I'm going to the hospital. I'll tell the doctor, look what happened, I was poisoned, please help me. Because it looks like you have the answer to it, you have the healing, you have the cure for it. Who told you to take the poison in the first place? This is exactly the same thing. We say always what? Al-wiqaya, prevention is better than curing. Al-wiqayatu khayru mina al-ilaj. Because otherwise, as we said, at a certain point, these shubuhat will become very mustaqirra in our hearts, iyadhan billah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then, you know, we've dealt with some brothers, wallahi, some brothers, they come to you one day. They say, okay, these are the shubuhat I have about the deen. I heard someone say this, and I heard how do you respond this? And you spend a lot of time, a long jalsa, to answer, to explain. Are you convinced? Yes, alhamdulillah, barakallahu feek, jazakallah khair, everything. And then just a few days after, a few weeks after, sometimes it's about the very same point. He comes back again. But you know, still, I'm not sure, you know, I heard, because what? It's deep now. It needs a lot of work to be taken out. Khair inshallah. So, I guess we said pretty much what we had to say about this hadith, inshallah. نكتفي بذلك والحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.